Zenscape is a Japanese Zen garden landscaping company based right here in Marin County, California. And today we're going to walk you through what makes this business so unique. From how it started, to how it makes money, to the government regulations that shape how it runs.
Let's get into it.
Okay.
So first,
Who is Brian Ott? Brian is the founder and sole designer at Zenscape. He specializes in Japanese-style garden design. Think hand-placed stones, bamboo, moss, koi ponds, deeply intentional outdoor spaces rooted in Zen philosophy.
and here's what makes him different from basically every other entrepreneur we've studied. He did not start this business to make money.
His motivation was entirely personal. He had a deep interest in Zen Buddhism, and that interest eventually led him to spend real time in Kyoto, Japan, one of the most historically preserved cities in the world, famous for its traditional rock gardens and temple grounds.
And he came back to California thinking, nobody here is doing this. Nobody is building gardens with that kind of cultural depth and intentionality. So here's the context. When Brian started Zenscape, the internet basically didn't exist as a business tool. No Yelp, no Google reviews, no Instagram portfolio, nothing.
Which means the only way to get clients was word of mouth. You do one great job, that client tells their neighbor, and their neighbor calls you. It's slow, it's hard. There's zero shortcuts.
But word of mouth is something digital advertising can't replicate. It's built on trust between real people. When your neighbor recommends someone, you believe them.
Brian told us when we interviewed him that in the early days of his work, clients would go up to him and ask if he could do something specific. A stone grading, a custom irrigation setup, a retaining wall integrated into a garden. He had no clue how to do it, but he would go to them and say yes.
Even if he'd never done it before.
He would go home, research everything he could, find resources, practice the technique, and then show up and execute time after time.
Brian was making a calculated bet that his ability to learn fast is worth more than admitting he doesn't know yet. This is a concept of opportunity cost. And it worked, which tells you a lot about his commitment.
Okay, here's maybe the most remarkable fact that we uncovered during this entire project.
Zenscape has 0 competitors.
They are the only Zen garden landscaping company serving both Marin County and San Francisco, two of the wealthiest regions in California, full of homeowners with money to spend on their properties, and Brian is the only one doing what he does.
As we've learned in microeconomics, when one company is the sole provider in a market, that's called a monopoly. And while monopolies in large industries are often harmful, think price gouging or reduced quality. In a small niche like this, it's a completely different story. Please, take a moment to appreciate some of Zenscape Landscaping's most recent projects. All right, part B. Let's talk about how Zenscape Landscaping actually markets itself, because honestly, the strategy is elegant in its simplicity.
The centerpiece of Zenscape's marketing today is Yelp. Brian has built up an exceptional collection of 5-star reviews, and when you read through them, there's a lot of specific things that really stand out.
Every single review mentions the same things. He stayed on budget. He finished on time. Communication was easy, and his design vision was unlike anything they'd seen before. That consistency is not an accident. Now, let's get into how Zenscape manages its finances. And Brian's approach here is refreshingly simple.
What he does is he tracks every project by comparing what it costs him, labor, materials, transport, and time, versus what he charges the client. There's no complicated software, no accountant on staff. It's just simple subtraction, consistent awareness of costs versus revenue on every single job. And by keeping his marketing close to zero, almost every dollar of revenue goes back into materials, labor, and operations. That's a lean business model. In a niche market, lean is powerful.
All right, Devin, can we talk about the rocks?
Yes, we can, Charlie. What Brian does is he buys rare imported decorative stones from China in bulk, specifically when suppliers put them on sale. He then stores that inventory and draws from it across future projects. By purchasing in bulk at a discount and holding the stock, Brian accomplishes 3 things at once. First, he dramatically cuts his material costs. Second, what he does is he can take on projects that other landscapers literally cannot complete because they don't have the access to those materials. And third, he protects himself from supply chain disruptions.
Part C, government regulations. We know, sounds like a snooze, but the Zenscape angle on this is actually really interesting, so stay with us.
California is the most heavily regulated states in the entire country, and landscaping businesses have to navigate 3 major areas. Number 1 being environmental law, 2 labor codes, and the third and final one is contractor licensing. Now, what do most landscapers do? They adapt to those rules and change their whole approach. But that's not Brian. What Brian does is he has Zenscape Garden designed intentionally on low water, raked gravel, native plant, stone, no lawn. His design philosophy was already perfectly aligned with what California regulated.
Now, here's the thing about regulations that most people miss.
People talk about government regulations like they're purely a burden, and sometimes that's the case, but it's not always true. Compliance takes time and money. But for a business like Zenscape, the regulations are more like a shield.
All right, audience. Now that we're all informed about Zenscape landscaping, what do we want you to walk away with?
Well, Charlie, Brian Ott built a company around something he genuinely loves, something he's passionate about, if you will. He didn't wait for the market to invite him. He didn't wait until he had every single skill. He went to Japan, came home with inspiration, and said yes to every single thing, even those he hadn't learned yet. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd say he built something truly one of a kind.
I agree, Devin. And would you remind me, how many competitors does he have?
He has 0.
Exactly. And he also has a sterling reputation, lean operations, and an inventory strategy that kept him working through a global pandemic. And I almost forgot, he also has a design philosophy that perfectly aligns with California environmental law.
From our perspectives, as students entering the workforce someday, unfortunately, that's not just something you're going to learn in your AP economics class.
It's a life lesson.
Find your niche, build your reputation. Be so good and so specific that nobody else can touch what you do.
When imported rocks go on sale, buy in bulk.
We're only half joking.
Thanks for watching.
We're really glad we didn't pick the insurance company.